Welcome back to another Profit Target interview. Today, I am very pleased to share that I'm joined with Simon, who has very recently hit the 10% profit and had his account scaled up to the next level. So Simon, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today. We very much appreciate it. Why don't we start out by just allowing yourself to kind of introduce yourself to the audience, give them your name, also give them a little bit of background about your trading history, how long you've been trading for, a little bit about that would be fantastic.
Thanks for having me, of course. So my people know me as HV, Dr. Simon Rosenberg, or my friends just call me Simon. That's the short version.
Yeah.
I started as a doctor, but as soon as I got into finance, I remember my very first trade was in 2012 when my girlfriend and me were trading Bitcoin, and it was way the price below it is today. And we just realized that you can actually make money with money, so you don't need to work, you just let money work for you. And that's how I got into trading. Then later on, when in 2020, when the COVID epidemic hit, everyone was talking about inflation, and suddenly there was this information that Elon Musk was buying Bitcoin again. And then we just saw again that with little money and leverage, you can actually get to a great return as long as you keep some certain risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
In place, you can make money with your money, and you can grow capital without needing to leave your house, your home. You can stay at home, stay safe. That was the hashtag at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so trading became like a full-time activity for me and all the people I worked with. We traded because we had to, right? There was essentially nothing else to do. And this year in spring, at the time I was in Istanbul. I was just, I don't know why I found it, but I think it's because of the social media algorithms that Facebook and Meta have, right? I talk a lot about finance and financial education, and I just got this ad from Audacity Capital for a funded trader program. I really liked the idea. I started reading about it. I got a contract right away. It was very straightforward. And I also asked one of the most seasoned traders I know, over 30 years of trading experience. I asked him about the program. Can you check it out? What do you think about it? He said, go for it. I enrolled, and as you said, rightfully, I just recently hit the scheduled 10% target, which means that I can have now access to a larger equity and trade the financial markets with Audacity. That's
fantastic. Yeah, no, that's really, really insightful. Thank you very much for that. So how long would you say that you have been trading for? You mentioned cryptocurrencies, obviously, you mentioned FX trading as well. Give us a little bit of an understanding of how long that you've been trading for, and what are the kind of specific asset classes that you've been trading for, during these time periods.
Well, so as I said, 2012, I remember that day we started with Bitcoin, and we kept that, I didn't touch Forex or legal tender currencies for quite a long time. And it was actually last year in September, when the euro was going south, and then one of my mentees and one of my friends told me, well, look at what happens to the euro. There's a huge buying opportunity to buy euro right now because it will go back. It was, it went down all the way to 89 to the dollar, right? And then suddenly in February it was back to where it was always, at over 1. It went 1 to 12 as it is right now. So that was my first Forex trade that I did with success. And it was really the first time how I got into it because I saw the opportunity. And then I started doing the same thing with Turkish lira and US dollar and euro because you saw that the lira went. When I bought it, it was like 18 to the euro. Right now it's like 29. I just made a transaction with my Turkish bank. It's like almost 10 lira since September, right? That's quite a nice trade, and
for sure.
That's how I got into Forex, right?
Okay.
And with Audacity, I just have more access to the majors. Pound and euro, the cable, right, and then euro dollar, and all the major currencies. I also trade some minors like the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar when there is an opportunity in the markets. And nowadays I hardly trade crypto. That's the past, I would say. But now it's Forex primarily, and also gold. That is also an interesting commodity to trade. I don't touch stocks and options. That's, one of my mentors told me, he's a Forex trader since the 1990s.
Yeah.
He said that the Forex market is one of the most, free and uncorrupted markets because, okay, there are these central bank events, price goes up and down, but then, 1 or 2 hours later or a week later, almost the market has like found its equilibrium again. So you could say it's like kind of, censorship resistant. In some way, people say crypto is censorship resistant. That's true, of course, but in Forex markets, you have these, huge trillions of euros and dollars, floating around day by day, week to week. And if you understand how to make money on this, then it's really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Opportunity here.
And would you say that your strategy and your kind of way of trading then is more fun? Is based on fundamentals? It's fundamentally driven rather than technical analysis. Give us a little bit of insight into that side of things.
Well, I noticed that there are a lot of guys and girls doing like technical analyzing the charts. I don't do that. I rather educate myself on what's going on in the world, and then based upon that, I place an order. I buy or sell. Like right now there is a strong call for the pound, maybe because of tomorrow's potential interest rates, right? So I base my assumptions right on that. I don't do like this technical analyzing where I say, well, this looks like over like a tipping point or like where I could buy into that. I know many people do that, but I don't do that because that has no fundamental, but because the world has other realities to deal with, and essentially the currency market reacts to that.
Yep.
Maybe you remember that was like a month ago or so. Someone was posting on Twitter that the Pentagon was under attack, and then suddenly the stock market crashed, the S&P, right, like all the way down, right? So, and if you do like a technical analysis, you would probably have said that the S&P is going up, but then suddenly someone posts a picture, on Twitter, and all the guys and girls selling, and then so technical analysis, I don't do that. I rather focus on the real world events that really impact the currency market.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's a really, really interesting insight of you specifically. I think one of the fascinating things about trading is that there are so many different ways of approaching the market, so many different ways to be able to extract alpha from trading. So I think that's kind of a really interesting perspective. I would say probably the majority of our traders lean towards more technical analysis and technical tools with kind of a rough, an overview of kind of the fundamentals. So it's interesting to see that you come at it from kind of a purely fundamentally driven view. On that basis, then, how do you manage and how do you control the risk, within your trading account, purely looking at fundamentals?
Yes, well, I have a general rule that I never risk more than 0.25%, for example, on a trade. That's where I would usually just either pull the trigger myself or let the stop loss secure my equity. Mm-hmm. I know that there are people who are, never put a stop loss because they know that the market will come back. That's true. You can do that, but then you have to have an account where you can just keep the trade open, right, over time. If you have like a Monday to Friday schedule, then you cannot. Well, you could do week-to-week trading, but that's riskier. Maybe you're right, and on Friday it's in your target. Maybe it's not, then you have a greater loss to deal with. Mm-hmm. I couldn't say that that's like better or wrong. I just think that if you know the rules, you just adapt to it, and you can make money with that rule or without that rule. It's just a matter of how you actually focus your trade, structure your trades and focus yourself on your target result.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think that's an interesting perspective. Like you say, a lot of people, especially when they're looking at fundamentals, they don't use things like stop losses. They don't use things, take profits as well. So I think your combination of looking purely at fundamentals, but also with kind of a really strict and tight risk management structure is clearly one of the main driving factors as to why you've been able to achieve the success that you've been able to achieve. So I think that's really, really positive. So tell me a little bit about the timeframes then. Obviously, you're looking at fundamentals. How long are you holding positions for on average?
Well, I remember that was like 2 weeks ago, it was like 3 days, right? That's like the longest that I hold, especially in the currency markets. Mm-hmm. In the gold market, it can be longer, but in the gold markets, I usually do long trades where I had maybe a week or sometimes longer. Mm-hmm. Well, as I told you, the first trade I did, that was the euro Turkish lira trade. That was obviously over some months, but that's a different setup because that is just inside the bank account. You can buy the currencies and hold that. That's not really like the meta trader or this day-to-day Forex trading. It depends on that. With the trading requirements here at Audacity, I wouldn't hold it longer than, well, maybe like from event to event, or from Monday to Friday maximum. But usually when it comes to taking profits, I'm very conservative. I'm happy with 30 points. I don't hold it for more than that. If I'm green, I pull the trigger usually. I could get more, but that's like I recently had a very interesting article about that. That people always trying to get like this, conflict. Like, do I keep the position open and hope for more, or maybe it's not working out and then I lose it all, or So I'm like very conservative in that. I just, when I'm green, I get out and focus on something else.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
my strategy.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of taking profits.
I think, again, it's a really interesting point that you raised there about kind of risk reward ratio. I think the fundamental thing is having an understanding of the relationship between the percentage win rate of your strategy. So how many on average are you going to win? And then the risk to reward ratio. So the ratio between, your average profit target taking and the amount that you're actually risking. Interesting stat is, if you have a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio between risk and profit, you only actually need to be 27% correct in all of your positions to be a break-even trader. So it just shows you the importance of being able to understand that relationship between risk and reward. Is that something that you're conscious of? Obviously, like you say, you're looking to take profits off the table quickly, which I think is normal. But is that something that you're kind of wary and conscious of, within your trading, within your structure?
My teacher for Forex, right? He always says that he's right 98% of times, right? But he never stays longer in the market than more than 30 points, right? If he has done it, he's out, right? Now, if you do that, it's very likely that you have such a high success rate, right? Some say that if you're right 6 out of 10 times, you're considered extremely successful in Forex trading. If I look on my, trading history, I have more or less just blue figures or green, right? Depending on the app you're using. But maybe the number is not like, I'm happy with $10, I'm happy with $50. I don't need to wait for the 100 with the risk that I lose whatever the stop loss is. That would be 250 or 500 on a 100K account. So if you're like desperate for money, then you probably shouldn't be trading, because then you take the risk of keeping the position open. You don't put a stop loss. You probably hold on to a loss. And that's like very risky. That's where people actually lose equity very quickly. If you get in the market, keep the trade open, and it's running against you, you just hope and hope and hope that it's going to get back. I had such a situation, by the way, I have to be honest with you. I had that in the Canadian dollar. I was opening it like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I had to wait all night long for the next morning to get back to where my entry point, right? And then I got out immediately. I only made like $2, but I was so happy that it got back, because I was like 200 points below my entry point, right? And I was buying. So that kind of things happen, but they shouldn't happen, right? And if you are like with a small equity, like $1,000 or $3,000, usually the individual accounts start with that kind of equity, and then that will wipe out your equity in 1 or 2 trades, like then you'll be gone. Now with the Audacity Funded Trader program, right, there's like a higher equity, and also what I really appreciate here is that you actually give people a limit on their lot size they can use, right? Because if people are new to trading, right, they will probably think like, wow, I can make money quickly. They hear the stories about successful Forex guys, and they go all in, and then they just realize, wow, I can lose it all so quickly, right? So that's very important. And however, I have to say that I really appreciate what you're doing at Audacity, because giving people access to legal tender currency, right, with the conditions you have, I think it's a fair offer. And if you need 2 months to get to the target, then take the 2 months instead of getting it in like 10 days. And then that's not what I recommend people doing. Just take the 2 months and study it. And I think that's very exciting about Forex trading in general, because if you take the time to study the rules, I think everyone can make money with this.
For sure.
with
100%.
Forex markets and with this funded trader program as well. So it's just the time that you need to put into it, and then you can make money on it without question.
I think that's a really interesting point that you say about around the lot size. I think one of the biggest misconceptions out there, due to social media, Instagram, YouTube, these kind of platforms that has allowed people to kind of go on and say what they want and display, whatever they want, is that the misconception is that trading is some kind of get rich quick scheme, and you can go in a very short space of time, you can turn small numbers into very, very large numbers. It certainly is possible within certain scenarios, but it's not if you continue to risk and continue to do that over and over and over again. The only way that is going to end is in a negative direction. So again, that is why there's the lot size limitation. It allows traders to practice good and proper risk management so that they're able to get to a position where they're able to produce consistent results, to be able to work towards those 10% profit targets. Again, with this kind of program, like you mentioned, the only focus needs to be making 10%. You don't have to worry about making 50, 60, 70%. You only need to focus on making 10%. So you don't need a massive amount of risk to be able to get to that stage. Trading is a long game. People that are going to be successful in trading are the people that treat it that way. They treat it like their own business. They treat it with respect. They don't treat it in a way where they think that they can come in and make fast money really quickly. And it's really interesting to hear your comments and your thoughts about that particular aspect of the program. So, obviously you've reached your first 10% profit target, which is fantastic. Are there any other kind of thoughts and considerations that you would have about the program? Obviously, you started to touch upon a few there.
Well, I can only repeat it again, right? It's amazing what you're doing. I think you should be way more active in, getting the message out that you're giving these kind of trading programs to traders, newbies and seasoned traders, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of, what I like here is that we actually talk about the downside of trading as well, right? Yeah, you say that these Forex gurus, and I doubted the account and all this. We all know that, right? But that's not the point, right? And as I said, if you're desperate for money, then don't go into trading, because then you would, first of all, take higher lot size, you would put a stop loss, you would not take the profits, and then you have like 3 points, which is actually going to hurt you. And that would, as you said, would result eventually in you leaving the market, calling it a scam or whatever, and getting angry about it. And that would be a pity, because, as I said, it's one of the most censorship resistant markets to earn a living, and even more than that if you are focused, right? So we should put all the efforts in getting more people access to this
100%.
program. That's my belief.
100%. No, thank you. No, we certainly agree with all of the kind of points and comments that you've made there. So one thing that I always do, and I always ask the traders that come on and do these profit target interviews, is I ask them for if they can provide one kind of piece of advice, that may be able to help or assist a trader that is out there that maybe is struggling, is going through, a string of losses, something like that. What would your one piece of advice be from the experience that you've gathered so far?
Never focus on the target of 10%, because that's going to be at the beginning probably very far away. Don't do that. Just focus on every single trade that you're doing. Yeah. If you're green, if you made profit, that's it. The bottom line is being profitable in a trade, right? The 10% target, well, you can keep that in the background. But if you focus on that, then it sounds like very far away. If you like a 400,000 equity account and you need to make 40,000, that sounds like a lot. Yep. In Forex, it's actually not a lot. It can be made very quickly if you know how to handle the market. So it's like an educational process, right? And I think with the first level, people can get into it. They have the time to learn. You offer also training. That's very important. So if people actually check the combination, if you have $500 or 500 euros available to spend, then I would recommend getting the program and buy yourself some educational books or tutorials and educate yourself before you start trading, and then focus on each and every trade, because every time you're successful in the trade, you get closer to your target. And at some point, it becomes like self-running. You don't need to focus on the end target 10%. Just focus on every trade to be successful, at least 98% or 6 out of 10, whatever, right? As we said. But then you're profitable in the long run, and never go into the market for cash quickly, get rich quickly. That's dangerous. If you're seasoned, then you know how to do it. No question asked about that. And well, I would say I keep my community informed about what you're doing. And by the way, I'm very happy to meet all of you in London for, as you said, trading in London. That's what I want to do in the
Absolutely.
future at some point.
Absolutely, 100%. So look, Simon, again, I'd like to thank you for giving your time up today to be able to speak to us, to share your story about working with us and about your story before working with us as well. So thank you very much for that. We'd like to, again, congratulate you as well for reaching your 10% profit target. And we certainly are looking forward to keeping up to date with your progress, and then maybe sitting down for another one of these when you reach your next profit target. So look, Simon, thank you again for your time today. And yeah, we look forward to keeping in touch.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.